Welcome back if you've been here before. If not, welcome. So glad to have you. Today, I wanted to talk about, is this the end of my Wegovy journey? Currently, as I am filming this, I am in week 35, and that is a total weight loss of 15.5 kilos, which I'm super proud of and still in shock about. And that is actually 18% of my body weight that I have lost, which is, again, shocking, amazing. But it basically brought forward the question because when I reached my original goal, which was always 10 kilos, that was always my big number that I had that I really thought was totally unachievable. When I reached that in week 22, I didn't think that I could really lose anymore. And as I just said, I'm actually another 5.5 kilos down the track from that. Being that I've reached the first goal of 10 kilos, and then from there, I thought, okay, I actually did do that. Let's just throw out another number of losing 15 kilos. And I have now achieved that as well. I really thought it was probably a good time to have a chat with my health professionals and those who are involved in my weight loss journey and ask them about the process of getting off the Wegovy, getting off the weight loss medication and injections. Uh, just a side note with that, being that I've reached two weight loss goals that I thought were completely unachievable, of the 10 kilos and the 15 kilos. I have a cheeky little goal now, and that is to get under 70 kilos. And I totally don't need to do it. I totally am so happy. I was happy when I lost the 10 kilos. I felt amazing, and I feel ridiculously even more amazing now at 15 kilos plus lost. But it's just a cheeky little goal of being able to say that I've reached into the 60s for the 60 kilos. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a side note, nothing too important. But so talking about, you know, catching up with the medical professionals and saying, hey, I'm really happy with where I am at, what I've achieved, uh, and keeping in mind that I'm not sure if it works the same with everyone, but with my medication, you get it in 4-week lots. So really, when you receive, a new delivery or you go and pick it up, it's 4 weeks worth. So thinking about a little bit ahead when you may want to think about hopping off, because potentially you might have four weeks more to take. So when I chatted to them, and they sent me some information, and basically there is like two pathways. One pathway is that you have medication continuation, and the other way is the non-medication pathway is how they described it. So with the first one, with medication continuation, so with those two options, you can continue with your current plan. So for me, that would be staying on my dose and continuing on with that. If there was more weight that I wanted to achieve and I wasn't being affected by side effects. Wasn't being affected by side effects. That sounds funny, doesn't it? If I wasn't experiencing side effects, I could certainly ask to go up to a higher dose. That's not really the case with myself. I am still seeing a gradual weight loss, and I am happy with what I have already achieved. So if I did decide that first pathway of, staying on medication, which they call medication continuation, and if I wanted to stay I would just stay at the dose I'm on, which is the 1 milligram. I'm sure you call it 1 milligram. Oh my goodness. Let me check my notes of that for you guys. Make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Yes, that is correct. 1 milligram. So there's that. So just continue. The second part of the medication continuation and the other option is to go to a reduced dose, but you continue on it. So it could be, I think when I first started, I'm sure that the dose I started on was 0.25 milligrams. So I'm guessing, I'm thinking that you would reduce down to that, and maybe you'd go down to the 0.5, then down to the 0.25, and you would just continue on that so that it helps manage the cravings, your hunger, and, the medical side of, continuing to help you maintain that weight loss. So that's the first pathway. The second pathway is the non-medication pathway. So that is where you gradually stop taking the Wegovy following an 8-week transition program, slowly reducing the dose. So it's probably, I would think, it sounds to me like it would actually be similar to choosing the continuation pathway at a reduced dose. You still would progressively reduce, but then if you didn't want to continue, then you would eventually stop taking it completely. So that's where I'm at. That's where the decision making is. My thoughts on what I'm going to do, or my thought process around making that decision. So, firstly, I would love to continue to keep taking the medication because of the amazing weight loss that I have achieved. And, that, yeah, you can't, well, you can put a price on your health, but you can't. But the money is a killer. It has definitely, our budget and our savings have taken a hit. And that's other things as well. We all know what life's like at the moment and the pressures. So it's, I'm not going to blame all of that on the weight loss medication, not whatsoever, but it definitely has, added to the strain. And yeah, it's expensive. So okay, how much am I paying? I am going to do a video very shortly on the specifics of what I am paying, because I'm not sure if it works the same in other countries, but here in Australia, you can get your medication directly through your GP, like go make an appointment, go and talk to your GP, and that would do a script for that. And you would, then collect your medication and pay for it at the chemist. We call it chemist here. I think pharmacies, some of you guys call them. I mean, we call them pharmacies as well, but anyway. And then the other process that there is to get it here is there's online companies. You're still going through a GP. You're still having, healthcare professionals looking over your progress and touching base with you and all of those things, but you're not seeing your doctor that you may regularly see for health. And when you go through those companies, you are paying, when you pay your fee, and as I said, it's a monthly or 4 weeks dose that you get. So when you pay for that, you're also paying at the same time for the GP consultation, the nutritionists, the nurse practitioners, the access that you have on the app to the community and your progress. And there is, programs on that app to encourage you in different ways. Some is in movement, getting you moving. Some is to do with, making better decisions around what you're putting in your mouth. That sounds really gross. And there's another one, and maybe it's about mind and your mindset. But anyway, there's lots of different things. So you're paying for that on top of the actual medication. So yeah, it's because that's the path that I took, which I will, please have a look for that video, because I am going to get that video up ASAP about exactly how much it's costing for me each month. And to give you a little bit of an idea, it's about $450 a month. Yes, yes, $450 a month. It's a lot. Uh, when you first start, the way I did, sometimes they have vouchers, promotions, things like that. But if you just want to, average it out of what potentially month to month you're paying, it's $450, which is huge. So, yeah, anyway, that you can exactly 100% know why money and budget is a huge part of why I'm thinking about the process of, hopping off. Side effects is another one. So recently, my side effects have been amazing. If you're following on my week to week videos, you will be able to see how that's going because I'm always updating on where I'm at. But recently, thank goodness, they've been great. But previously, and when dosage amounts change and different things like that, I have had issues with nausea and I have had issues with tiredness and just, which again, I haven't felt recently, but there were times when you just feel like not yourself. And uh, don't get me wrong, I will not trade it for anything to have lost the weight that I have lost and how I feel now. I feel fucking amazing. I actually feel fucking amazing. Uh, so I wouldn't trade it. I would not trade it. And if I wasn't comfortable with that, I would have transitioned off then. But I am generally one of those people that when I set my mind to something, unless it really is insurmountable, what comes up against you, or of course, if there was a major health issue, those sorts of things, then I'm not going to be silly. I would have, transitioned off the medication. But that wasn't the case. It was, as I said, nausea and feeling, really, really ridiculously tired and sometimes feeling a bit out of sorts of not yourself. But I'm not experiencing those anymore at the moment, which is great. And I'm feeling amazing. Another one that is actually probably, excuse me, one of the big ones is food noise. So when I very first took my very first injection, I swear to God, I swear to you that wasn't instantaneous, but it wasn't far off, that I felt that food noise leave my mind, leave my brain. And it was it was weird in the beginning, but it was the most freeing thing ever. And I'm a little anxious about that returning because no doubt it's going to. And, you just hope that you've made progressively made better choices along this journey of what I'm eating, definitely quantities of what I'm eating. So, lots smaller quantities, but who knows? What if that food noise comes back with a vengeance? And oh gosh, I will not look forward to that. But that's something I guess I would have to face if I decide to stop taking the medication. Old habits creeping back. Another one, a little bit of what we were just talking about. One would be, portion size. My portion control and my portion size has changed a lot. I was quite a big eater, would have a big serving. And that has reduced because of, the hunger signals are there to say, you're full, you don't need any more. And the other thing is alcohol and drinking. So I am drinking now. Like I, have a glass of wine, whatever, but I definitely do not drink the quantities of what I drank before. Even if I am out for something special where I would normally, get into it, generally, I'm not going to say every time, but generally that's not happening. I just don't feel like it. There's just a moment where I'm like, okay, I've had enough now. So these things like sugar, sorry, these things worry me a little bit. What else? What else have I taken? I think they may be the main things. Yeah, so they were the main things. So we had the side effects, the money, the food noise, and my old habits. So they're all the things that I've taken into account to make my decision. What is the decision? Okay, so right now at this point, I've decided that I'm going to transition and stop taking the medication. So I'm going to take the non-medication pathway and slowly transition down. Keep in mind, currently, right at this moment, I have 5 injections here in my home right now. So one will be tonight, and then I've still got 4 more weeks. So for the right now, even if I were to change my mind, at the moment I've got at least, what's that, really, another 5 weeks worth of medication. So it won't be happening until at least then. But then before then, obviously, I'll make contact and see whether they send me those smaller doses. Uh, you know, I am more than 6 months down the track of being on Wegovy, and actually, it would be okay. So we're actually coming up 8 months. So I've passed 7 months. We'll be coming up 8 months. So me being able to fit that, whether it was $400 with a voucher when I could, or $450 a month, that's a lot. It's a lot I've paid. And for those who have, been keeping up with where I'm at week to week, you'll know that, currently I'm looking for another job. I'm applying for jobs. So that extra financial strain is just really difficult. My full-time job is due to go back to permanent part-time at the absolute latest the end of June. So I have been under the pump applying for jobs and, getting myself out there. So it's just that extra pressure of knowing that, if I don't get something else, if I don't get another job, if something doesn't come through, that I'm dropping back to part-time, and there's no way, we need more than full-time just to pay our normal bills. I am looking forward to not having to take the medication if I remove the things that we already talked about, and just feeling myself and not having to worry about it. But I am keeping in the back of my mind, I have a number which is 75. And if I were to creep back up to that number, and certainly if I crept above that 75, I will not hesitate to reach back out and get back on the medication, because how I feel now, compared to how I felt before I started and before I lost the weight, I can't even compare. I feel so healthy, and I just feel great. And it's actually to the point, and people who are listening to this who are overweight or have been overweight or are on this same journey as me, whether it's weight loss medication or something else that you're doing, you'll understand when you are overweight, when you are fat, as they say, your mind is thinking about that. Even if I had gotten myself to the point where I was like, stuff this, I'm happy with myself. I love myself how I am, and I really was. So I'm not saying that you necessarily are mentally unhappy with yourself, but because you are overweight, for myself personally anyway, and as I said, I'm sure there's other people who feel this as well, it would be on your mind. You would think about it. So it could be you're at a party or out with other people and there's snacks out, and it's just as simple as, you might grab some bickies, you might grab some dip, you whatever. But because you're overweight, you're like, okay, I better not go in again and get more because people will be looking at me like, huh, she doesn't need that. Or it could be going and needing to get some new clothes and you just like, oh my God, this is the worst experience ever. I hate this, which, there's so many of us that hate that. And so it's just on your mind. You're just thinking about it. And it takes up precious thinking and it sucks. And I have not got that anymore. Of course, I'm thinking about it because I'm on medication and because I'm doing my videos. And that's been great anyway, because I'm self reflecting and I'm thinking about these things in a positive way. And I want to share this with other people so that they get a fair and, different sides of being on a weight loss medication. There are going to be people out there who bag the crap out of it. There are going to be people who praise the hell out of it. And I'm hoping that I sit somewhere in the middle where you can see my success, but I am going to be honest and I'm going to tell you about, side effects, and I'm going to tell you about the costly side of it. But yeah, I think to not have to think about my weight all the time, to be out and about and not be like, oh, they're looking at me because like my big ass, or it's just, and it's horrible. We should not ever have to be thinking like that. But for me, it was just how I thought. So I don't want to return to that. And also, you know, health wise and getting older, I want to feel comfortable that I'm doing the best that I can for my heart health and things like that. So, in a big, long, roundabout way, uh, I'm basically saying that I'm very open to returning to the medication if I need to. Nothing's ever, I'm not closing the door. The door will be open if I need it. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. So I will keep you updated, especially in my week to week videos of where I am with transitioning, and slowly going down in doses. However I do it, I will make sure I keep you updated, and we'll see how all of those things that we talked about, especially the food noise. I will definitely keep you updated on how that is. And it's great to have had you. Thanks for listening to my updates, and I can't wait to see you again really soon. Take care.